Exclusive contract for Feilu Novel Network Novel. Voyage. Me, Brother Ming, starting with Water Droplets Aaron crossed the world of pirates and became Mingge's younger brother, gaining the water droplet manufacturing technology in the three-body game at the beginning. Mingge was shocked. How could this droplet of water attack rival a naval general? The Navy was confused. Is this thing as fast as a yellow ape? For Emperor's shocked. How can't we break this damn thing? However, the following inventions, such as Zhizi Technology, Curvature Engine, and Mind Steel Seal, all shook the world. Aaron. Brother, we should also go back to the Holy Land and let them feel the fear. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 001 begins with water drop technology. You are listening at novelfull.audio. New World, Dressrosa, Highland of Kings. In a magnificent bedroom, Aaron opened his eyes in surprise. The system has been successfully loaded and the beginner gift package has been successfully distributed. Aaron cautiously glanced around and confirmed that there was no one around before breathed a sigh of relief, silently muttering to himself. System, open the beginner gift pack. Newcomer gift pack successfully received. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the three-body technology. Water drop technology. Three-body technology. And it's water droplet technology, is it? Aaron was overjoyed and quickly checked the newbie gift package reward he had received. As the years turned, Aaron's consciousness entered a gray-looking space of about 10 cubic meters. This is the portable space that comes with the system. At this moment, in the personal space, a book-emitting light is quietly floating. Aaron's consciousness came into contact with this book, and a huge amount of information flooded into his mind. The first thing he saw was an object that looked like a droplet of water. It looks about 3.5 meters long, with a round head and a pointed tail. The surface is extremely smooth, like mercury. Then, a series of information began to automatically parse, allowing Aaron to quickly learn the technology to manufacture it. Water droplets, a space probe at the level of a general, use materials with strong interaction forces. The reflectivity of electromagnetic waves is 100%. During flight, they can make sharp turns that violate the laws of momentum conservation and angular momentum conservation without slowing down. Carefully flipping through the techniques in his mind, Aaron trembled all over. As long as I can create a water droplet, I can traverse the world of the Pirate King and no longer hide like a bug in the King's Highland. Aaron traveled to the world of One Piece 5 years ago and became the third brother of Domingo. After personally killing his second brother Crozon, Dofranmingo became even more careful in taking care of his only brother. However, unlike Domingo and Corazon, Aaron was not born in the Holy Land of Maria, but only after his parents gave up their status as a draconian. Since leaving Marijoa, Don Quixote and his wife have not been treated well in the past, and they have been persecuted constantly. After killing his parents, Dofranmingo fled everywhere without a peaceful living environment, which also led to Aaron being weak and sickly from a young age. So unlike other members of the Don Quixote family, Aaron not only has no combat power, but also is not a demon fruit. After regaining the throne of the Dressrosa royal family, he hid in the Highland of Kings for over a decade and never appeared outside. This is because Domingo is not without enemies. Although most of the enemies have been turned into toys by Sugar, there are still many fish that have missed the net. In order to keep his little brother alive, no one knows about Aaron's existence except for the members of the Don Quixote family. With water droplet technology, I am finally able to step out of the palace and have fun in this world. Aaron smacked his lips, silently thinking in his heart. Now it's 1520 in the Heian era, and the plot has already begun. It's necessary to develop the water droplets as soon as possible. There isn't much time left for me to waste. Knowing the plot well, he naturally understood that the Don Quixote family seemed to be a beautiful family. It was not only the Kueihai, but also the secret controller of the huge arms trade in the underground world. But all these are illusory bubbles, and there is no strong strength. When the Straw Hat Pirates enter Dressrosa, the huge Don Quixote family will collapse. Thinking of this, Aaron felt a sense of urgency. In the world of One Piece, only absolute strength can control his own destiny. But the next moment, his eyebrows couldn't help but furrow, because in the system, to develop water droplets, it would require 10 billion Bailey. Damn it, it's so expensive. It seems we have to go find Big Brother. Just then, there was a knocking on the door outside the bedroom. Who is it? Aaron retrieved his thoughts and got up from the bed, asking. Master Aaron, Master Dover asked me to inform you to attend the meeting in the conference room. A shrill voice sounded outside, and Aaron knew that it was Pika, a member of the Don Quixote family. Opening the door, Aaron looked at the tall man in front of him and silently nodded before following him out. Pika is wearing armor, a helmet with a cross-shaped shield on his head, and has wavy hair. He looks serious and steady. However, Aaron knew that Pika looked like this because his voice and body shape were completely mismatched. As a member of the Don Quixote family, everyone has his own unspeakable past, so others will not laugh at his own pain. Initially, Buffalo once mocked Pika's voice and was beaten to death by Pika. After Aaron traveled through time, he never mocked Pika. After all, he was a person of 2 generations and naturally wouldn't pick up scars like a child. When he first read the manga, he was very dissatisfied with the plot of Luffy mocking Pika. This style of making fun of others' shortcomings is not in line with his personality. Walking in the open aisle, Aaron asked in a calm tone. Pika, Big Brother suddenly needs to hold a meeting. Did something happen? Pika didn't turn back, but a sharp voice rang out in the hallway. It's about the Whitebeard Pirates team. I heard that the captain of their 4th squadron on board was killed, and it was done by their own crew. After a slight pause, Pika continued. The crew member who killed seemed to have escaped. In order to find him, the Whitebeard Pirates turned the New World upside down, seriously affecting the family's business. That's why young Master Dover had to hold a meeting to discuss how to deal with the Whitebeard Pirates. Sachai is dead. Does this also mean that Blackbeard has obtained the dark fruit? Upon hearing Pika's words, Aaron understood that the era of tyranny was not far away, and the young man wearing a straw hat in the distant East China Sea should have already set sail by now, right? The development of water droplets must start immediately. Aaron's sense of crisis increased once again. Silently thinking in his heart, Aaron, led by Pika, arrived at the conference room. The meeting room of Don Quixote's family is very simple. A round table is placed in an empty room. At the edge of the round table, Don Quixote's family cadres are already seated. The leader is Tang Jike, who is naked, wearing a pink feather coat, red-white cloud pattern pants and pointed shoes on the table. He looks very arrogant. On both sides of him are other members of the Don Quixote family, and on the left are Toripole, Sugar, Rao Ji, Onisal and Dillinger. On the right are Diamanti, Jorah, Galadius, Prisoner and Buffalo. Seeing Pika and Aaron, Doflamenco lifted his head and smiled, saying, Chapter 002. Give me 10 billion, I'll give you a big. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother, listen to Pika. Now the Don Quixote family will become a stray dog like Beihai again. After Aaron walked into the room, he said without giving any face to Doflamenco. A stray dog. Upon hearing this, Doflamingo's face immediately darkened. The scene of being chased by a Rear Admiral Crane from the past is still vividly remembered. Thinking of these bad meetings, the temperature around Duo Flamenco dropped sharply, and everyone in the conference room immediately trembled. Furfurin, Aaron, that sounds really unpleasant to you. Doflamenco responded coldly, then looked at Aaron with a cold expression and said, "Don't forget, you are also a member of the Don Quixote family." Aaron nodded, pulled aside the chair beside Domingo, sat down without hesitation, and then said, "Dressrosa is our foundation, and I naturally don't want the internal strife of the Whitebeard pirates to destroy our family's foundation." Carrying a basket on the side, a pair of little lowly dressed in sugar muttered, "What can we do? The old man with a white beard, in order to catch the betrayed crew, is ready to turn the new world upside down." Upon hearing this, Diamandi, dressed in a wild man's outfit, also said anxiously, "Dressrosa is an island that must pass through on the Great Voyage, and Tick will definitely come to the island." Toripole sniffed and said with a gloomy face, "If we can't catch that black beard, we're afraid that Whitebeard will vent his anger on us." Furfurin. Domingo's iconic laughter rang out in the conference room, and after everyone's gaze turned to him, Domingo said, "So the top priority now is how to save Dressrosa, if we really let that old man with white beard take action." Domingo's words were not fully understood, but everyone present understood. Whitebeard, known as the strongest man in the world, is the strongest of this era, not one of them. In the past, the Whitebeard pirates and Dressrosa had friction. Now if the Whitebeard pirates find an excuse, I'm afraid Don Quixote's family will really disappear. For a moment, the conference room fell silent. After a long time, Domingo looked at Aaron and frowned, asking, "Aaron, what do you mean?" Aaron glanced at Domingo, then looked around and scanned everyone's faces before calmly saying, "Didn't you already make a decision?" As soon as these words were spoken, everyone couldn't help but look at Duo Flamenco and Aaron. "Master Dover, have you made a decision?" "Master Aaron, what did you say?" "Master Dover has made a decision, how did you know?" "Two young masters, what are we going to do?" Ignoring the gossiping crowd, Flamenco looked at Aaron with great interest and said, "Furfurin, Aaron, you really make me look at you." Aaron shook his head and stared at Flamenco, saying seriously, "Big brother, are you really prepared to completely join Kaido?" Even though he had a premonition in his heart that Aaron had guessed his decision, at this moment when he heard Aaron's words, Domingo's pupils still shrank. However, after all, he had experienced strong winds and waves, but he had already regained calmness in an instant. "Aaron, the only one who can deal with the fourth emperor is the other fourth emperor. Now we have no other choice but to seek refuge with Kaido." After a slight pause, Domingo looked at the surprised family members and said in a low tone, "And you don't know, the traitor of the Whitebeard pirates has already left Dressrosa at this time." As soon as these words were spoken, the conference room fell silent. If Tichy doesn't log into Dressrosa or is still in Dressrosa, the Don Quixote family can naturally prepare to catch Tichy and hand him over to the Whitebeard pirates. But now that Tichy has left, the Whitebeard pirates, who have been unhappy with the Don Quixote family for a long time, are likely to attack Dressrosa. But they still feel a bit reluctant to seek refuge with others. "Master Dover, we have not reached an agreement with the beast pirates. We provide them with the raw materials for making artificial demon fruits, which is already an alliance relationship. Why do we still rely on them?" Pika's sharp voice rang out in the conference room, instantly catching the attention of other family members. "Yeah, Master Dover, we have Caesar in our hands who can make raw materials. The beast pirates should help us resist the Whitebeard, right?" It seemed that there was hope, and everyone in the conference room began to discuss, as if the difficulties were no longer there. However, after a moment, everyone realized that neither Domingo nor Aaron's face had changed. "Two young masters, what's wrong?" Galadius, wearing a mask and wearing an explosive head, asked. "An alliance without power is just a salted fish on the chopping board." Flamenco shook his head, not paying attention to the short-sightedness of the family members. But he immediately showed a strange expression and looked at Aaron curiously, saying, People will always grow up. I am also a member of the Don Quixote family. Naturally, I have to think about the family. Aaron responded with an indifferent tone. Doflamingo did not delve into Aaron's changes, but looked at him with a serious expression and said, "Do you think my way of joining Kaido is not advisable? Do you have any good ideas?" "Of course." Aaron answered without hesitation, which surprised everyone present. "Furfurin. I'm very curious about your method, can you talk about it?" said Domingo, his heroic demeanor once again. "I have been developing a technology recently, and now it has reached a critical moment. With just 10 billion Bailey's research funding, I can provide the family with a general-level combat power. When the time comes, there will be no problem dealing with the Whitebeard pirates." Domingo's smile immediately froze on his face. "What the hell is this? You should know that what we are discussing now is a matter of family life and death. What attitude is this when you suddenly tell me a joke?" And the other family members were also confused, not sure if Aaron was crazy or foolish. Or, to put it simply, to liven up the atmosphere by telling a joke when Mr. Dover is in a bad mood. The pressure around Duo Flamengo began to decrease visibly, and the nearest Pika and Toripole had already started to sweat, not knowing how to persuade them. Chapter 003. The Birth of Water Droplets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. However, after all, Domingo did not get angry. After all, he was his only blood relative. He twitched his lips and said helplessly, "All right Aaron, we're talking about it, so don't fuss around." Aaron had long known that Domingo would not believe him, so he did not give up, but continued. "Believe it or not, I must get 10 billion Baileys today." After a slight pause, amidst the somewhat impatient expression on Don Flamenco's face, he said again. "Anyway, if you are defecting to Kaido, you can't keep this money either. Why don't you take a gamble? What do you think?" This statement made Domingo's brow furrow. Aaron is right. If he defected to Kaido, most of Dressrossa's resources would have to be handed over to the beast pirates. In this way, it's better to waste it for Aaron. Anyway, the meat will eventually rot in his own pot. After a moment of silence, Domingo nodded and said to Toripole, "Wait a moment and hand over the funds to Aaron." After speaking, he waved his hand and left the conference room. 10 billion Baileys. The bounty for the pirate King Roger is only 5.5 billion yuan, and the Whitebeard is only 5 billion yuan. The research and development funds for water droplets are worth 2 Whitebeards. If it were normal, no matter how much Domingo spoils Aaron, it would be impossible for him to waste 10 billion Bailey. But now, Doflamingo has been pushed to the brink of despair. After joining Kaido, most of the resources and funds of the Don Quixote family will be handed over to the beasts and pirates. Since that's the case, why not give it to Aaron? Anyway, he's from his own family. Besides, what if Aaron really develops a war weapon? Don't expect grand prize level combat power. If you can develop technology weapons similar to those of the Navy's pacifists, it's a blood game. Soon, Toripole handed over the control of 10 billion Baileys to Aaron. Aaron was also polite and called Galadius, saying, "Galadius, bring me all the people you can control on the island and choose a suitable island for me near Dressrosa. If you want to create water droplets, it's not just about having enough money, just tapping your head and rubbing them together. And in the future, the system will also provide more advanced three-body technology. Considering the level of danger of three-body technology, it is best to choose an unmanned deserted island as the laboratory base. And what the pirate world doesn't lack the most is naturally islands. Although the Don Quixote family cannot be called the overlord of the New World, they can still seize the domination of the nearby waters." Quickly, Galadius chose a small island not far from Dressrosa as his base. Then, using sugar, a large number of toy soldiers were arranged and quickly began building the laboratory. Toy soldiers are granulated sugar from members of Don Quixote's family. They use their fruit power to turn people into soldiers. And the type and style of toys they become are entirely determined by the preferences of the capable. People who are related to the goal of being turned into toys will lose all the memories of the objects they have interacted with before. So Aaron is not worried about the news of water droplet technology leaking out. The Don Quixote family has cooperated with the scientist Caesar, so they are very experienced in building laboratories. However, in just 1 week, a laboratory with a strong sense of technology has already been built on the deserted island. In the process of construction, Aaron was not idle. Through the Don Quixote family's relationship in the underground world, he bought all kinds of rare metals and materials on a large scale, spending money like water. Even Toripol felt unbearable. Helpless, he immediately dialed the phone worm to Domingo. Dover, in just about 10 days, young Master Aaron has already spent 4 billion Baileys. Upon hearing these words, Domingo couldn't help but twitch his lips slightly. This flour is all Bailey that he has accumulated through his hard work. However, thinking that even if he didn't spend the money, it wouldn't take long to hand it over to Kaido, he could only grit his teeth and say, "It's okay, let him spend it. Anyway, we can't keep this money." On the other hand, Dressrosa's strong procurement of materials for technology research and development has also caught the attention of major giants in the Dark World. Cake Island, Captain Charlotte Lingling of the Ant Pirates is eating the cake with a big gulp and intoxication. In front of her, the Candy Minister, one of the 4 dessert stars, and also the eldest son of Auntie, Peros Perot, was reporting to Auntie. "Mom, that guy Joker, I don't know what he wants to do. He's crazy about purchasing research materials. Nowadays, the prices of these resources in the underground world have tripled." Upon hearing this, Auntie chewed the cake in her mouth and muttered with a smile. Joker, that little devil, probably also felt the storm of the new world. "Unfortunately, I don't want to provoke the old man with white beard, otherwise it would be a good choice to take him under my command." Peros nodded and said with some regret. Without Joker, the arms business in the underground world won't be as easy to do in the future. As soon as he finished speaking, Katakuri, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke up. Even in the face of the white beard, Doflamingo could not be easily captured. Based on my estimation, he should be prepared to join a 4th emperor. Upon hearing this, Aunt immediately became interested. She put down the cake in her hand and looked at Katakuri, saying, "Well, Katakuri, who do you think he will turn to?" "Kaido." Upon hearing this, the ant burst into laughter. She swallowed all the cakes and opened her mouth wide, saying, "If he wants to defect to Kaido, then some of his business must be handed over to you, and this matter will be handled by you, along with Screw Perot." Perot nodded with screws and licked her tongue. "Okay, Mom." Ghost Island. Captain Kido of the Pirates of the Beasts is crazily fighting a wine battle with Jack, one of the 3 disasters of drought. At this moment, Epidemic Disaster Queen walked in and glanced at the drunken Kaido, helplessly saying, "Kaido boss, that guy Joker has been summoned and said he's ready to join you." Upon hearing this, Kaido put down the wine jug in his hand and exhaled a heavy breath. He squinted his eyes and said, "You want me to help him block the old man with a white beard, no problem." After a slight pause, he grabbed the wolf tooth stick next to him and smashed it hard on the ground. "Let him hand over Caesar to me, otherwise let the old man with white beard shatter his head." With Drez Rosa's action, the whole underground world is surging. All forces feel that the Don Quixote family is in a dead end and are ready to take a share. Within Aaron's experimental base, he is already preparing to manufacture water droplets. The Whitebeard pirates may log into Dressrosa at any time, and he doesn't want his head to become a trophy of the Whitebeard pirates. Chapter 004. Big Brother, Don't Be Killed by Water Droplets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The production of strong interaction materials requires the use of three-body unique engine technology to overflow the strong interaction force. Then apply the range of force to the size of atoms, so as to ensure that the density of water droplets does not go wrong. Aaron used water droplet manufacturing technology to manufacture precious scientific research equipment using pre-purchased materials. At this moment, in front of these devices, Aaron was muttering words and immersed himself in the atmosphere of creating water droplets. According to the gravity of the one-piece world, the weight of water droplets cannot exceed 5 tons, which must be taken into account. The propulsion method of water droplets uses halos, and the power is the same as the ultra-high temperature of the sun's core, so the heat resistance of the furnace must be sufficient. Aaron's professional jargon made the Galadius beside him feel dizzy. Aaron also knew that at the level of Galadius, it was still a bit difficult for him to let him be his own stop. Fortunately, Dressrosa still has a small human race. The Shaoran tribe, also known as the Dongdada tribe, live underground in the forest of Dressrosa. Although they are small in size, their strength is amazing and their movement speed is very fast. Now, the little Terran princess Man Shirley is captured by the Don Quixote family and placed under house arrest in Wangji Highland. Are you Gan Xiao, the king of the kingdom of Dongdong Tower? Looking at the fist-sized little human race in front of him, Aaron curiously asked. Gan Xiao, with a big beard, nodded and looked at Aaron with a resentful expression, saying, "You bad guy, let go of Michelle, otherwise I won't let you go." Aaron looked silently at the disheveled king of Dongdong Tower in front of him, deceiving him without any psychological burden. "Of course it's okay to let go of Michelle, but you must do me a favor." Upon hearing this, Gan Xiao was immediately delighted and quickly said, "No problem, we can help you." The Lilliputians are pure and kind, easily believing in the lies of others. So as soon as I heard Aaron's words, I immediately believed him. Aaron chuckled and said to Gan Xiao, "So you go back now and bring some people over. When I finish the task, I'll let go of Michelle." With the help of the little human race, Aaron officially began the manufacturing project of water droplets. In the next half-month, various explosions, vibrations, and strange noises occurred continuously in the deserted island laboratory. At first, Galadius was still reporting to Domingo in fear, and Domingo was also worried about Aaron's safety, constantly contacting him. But as the number of explosions increased, Domingo let it go. In addition, the Whitebeard pirates have already begun to advance towards Dressrosa, and Dauphin Mingo is busy seeking help from Quito, so he has no intention of paying attention to Aaron's side. Without the interference of the Don Quixote family members like flies, Aaron took advantage of the rare purity, and when the RD funds were running out, he finally successfully produced the crucial water drop in the three-body technology. On the edge of the desert island, Aaron and all members of the Don Quixote family gathered together. Aaron looked at the water droplets in front of him, which were about the same height as his own body, and his gaze was full of intoxication. Like tears of God, the surface of water droplets seems to be permeated with a constantly flowing silver radiance. "Young Master Aaron, is this the weapon you have developed that can withstand a general?" Behind Aaron, Toripol looked at the object in front of him, which was like a droplet of water, and said with a strange expression. "Over a month of time, wasting billions of research funds to create such a thing." Thinking of the money spent like flowing water from his own hands, Toripol felt a pang of heartache. "It doesn't look impressive at all." Baby 5, dressed as a maid, muttered softly at the back. Everyone else had the same idea, just to avoid hitting Aaron, so they didn't speak up. Heartache, regret, disdain, boredom in the laboratory, members of the Don Quixote family have complex ideas, but none of them is optimistic about Aaron's research. Meanwhile, with sunglasses on his face, Domingo remained calm, as if his research on Aaron had never expired. "What is this thing called?" Buffalo, with a silly expression on his face, suddenly spoke up and asked. "Water droplets." Upon hearing this name, everyone immediately felt even more uncomfortable. This name sounds too casual. Because it looks like a water droplet, is it called a water droplet? Aaron seemed to see everyone's thoughts, but he wasn't angry either. He finally created a droplet of water, and his current mood can be said to be extremely excited, naturally not caring about these small things. In fact, its full name is the Space Explorer, and my name is Water Drop for convenience only. Aaron explained with a smile. Can this thing really withstand the general? Diamante looked incredulous as she watched as Aaron finally asked the question. Of course, it's just about resisting the general's attack, we can definitely do it. At this moment, the others also looked incredulous, obviously sneering at Aaron's words. Young Master Aaron wasn't like this before. When did he become so boastful? Standing at the farthest point, Duo Flamenco shook his head and said in a calm tone. All right Aaron, I have something else to do. Your water droplet, just keep it for yourself to play with. I need to go back. The others also nodded, clearly showing no interest in the water droplets. Aaron couldn't help but chuckle when he saw everyone's disapproving attitude. Since you don't believe it, why don't you give it a try? Try it. How do you try it? It's very simple, big brother. Just give it your all and attack it, or I'll let the water droplets attack you. Can you resist it? Aaron looked at Domingo with great interest, with a wicked smile on his lips. Am I here to attack? Doflamingo frowned, clearly unwilling to waste time here. Anyway, it won't take long, don't worry. Upon hearing this, Duo Flamengo could only nod, as he was his own younger brother and still had to give face. Okay, I'll stand here and you can attack. Aaron is not polite either. Only by truly showing them the power of water droplets can they fully understand the value of this water droplet in front of them. Big brother, be careful and don't die. Speaking, Aaron gently raised his finger and gave the command. Attack. My dear younger brother, today I will let you know that I became 7 Marshal Cs not because of my previous identity, but because of my strength. Furu. However, in the next moment, it seemed that Duo Flamenco suddenly got stuck, and his iconic laughter was abruptly interrupted. I saw his pupils contracting wildly, and a deadly sense of crisis suddenly emanated from the droplet in front of him. This kind of power. If hit, you'll be seriously injured even if you don't die. In an instant, Doflamenco frantically urged his domineering spirit to resist the seemingly ordinary attack in front of him. Chapter 005. The Scared Domingo. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. A terrifying aura erupted from Doflamenco. Armed, seen and heard, and overlord are all driven by the supremacy of color. Like a storm, the surrounding vegetation, soil, and Don Quixote family members are scattered. However, the attack of the water droplet almost instantly reached in front of Duo Flamenco. Before the three-colored domineering energy could be fully unleashed, the water droplet had already directly hit Duo Flamenco's body. Touch. After a loud sound, Doflamingo's body flew out like a broken kite, like a shooting star, disappearing into the sea in the blink of an eye. Apart from leaving a series of blood droplets on the spot, there is no trace of Franco. Dead silence. A deathly silence throughout the room. The attack of water droplets is really too fast, to the point where everyone present's sight, hearing, and aura cannot be captured. The first person to react was Torpol, who looked at Aaron with a frightened expression and shook his hands, asking. Duo. Duo. Duo Fu, where is young Master Duo Fu? The others only then realized, looking at the water droplets in front of them and Aaron who made them, their whole bodies emitting a sense of shock. Aaron waved his hand, and the droplets immediately appeared behind him like teleportation. Don't worry, I won't die. I just didn't react quickly and was knocked away. It won't be long before I come back. Sure enough, as soon as Aaron finished speaking, a red figure appeared in the distance on the horizon. Domingo urged the fruit of the thread and used the clouds in the sky to fly back. Boom! Doflamenco's body left a large hole on the ground heavily. At this moment, his feathered cloak was in tattered condition, and there was still a hint of blood hanging from the corner of his mouth. But even so, he paid no attention and stared fixedly at the water droplets behind Aaron, his face twisted. Dove, young master, are you injured? Diamandi asked in an incredulous voice. You should know that Doflamingo was a top genius who awakened his domineering aura at the age of 8. Initially, they were willing to follow Domingo, not precisely because Domingo was the king they recognized. I can't believe it, young Master Dover was easily knocked away. Does this water droplet really have the level of a general's combat power? Rao Ji held his bald head and looked at the injuries on Doflamingo's body, looking incredulous. Being able to harm Master Dover, even if it's not as good as a general, I still want to go not far. Senial wore a baby hat on his head, and the pacifier in his mouth fell off at some point, but he suddenly had a sense of taste. After a long silence, Doflamingo stared at Aaron with a fixed gaze and said, once again, I want to test the limit of water droplets. Obviously, Doflamenco also realized that spending a whopping $10 billion on research was not Aaron boasting, but actually creating powerful weapons with combat effectiveness. If you can really reach the level of a general, 5 water droplets, no, 3 water droplets are enough to conquer the new world. Even those heavenly dragons from the Holy Land of Maria can beg them to return to the Holy Land. Thinking of this, Doflamenco's eyes turned red, his mouth panting heavily, and he looked at Aaron like a wild beast. As you wish. Aaron smiled and said something, then he snapped his fingers. Be careful, I'm going to attack. As the words fell, the water droplets suddenly disappeared from behind Aaron and appeared directly in front of Doflamenco. Be careful, Master Dover. Baby 5 let out a cry of surprise, but at this moment, Doflamenco was unable to estimate anything else, and his entire attention was already drawn to the water droplets. Chong! A piercing sound, like fingernails scratching through glass, rang out. It was only then that everyone realized that Doflamingo had added transparent threads to his hands at some point. These threads are tightly pressing against the water droplets, as if trying to penetrate them. Unfortunately, the outer shell of the water droplet is extremely hard, and with the strength of Doflamenco, it is impossible to achieve it. Is it a 5-color line? Aaron was no different in his ability to withstand his attacks on Doflamenco. He smiled slightly and continued to manipulate the droplets towards Doflamenco. Spider web wall. Seeing that his attack was not effective, Doflamenco immediately changed his mind and prepared to trap the droplet. However, in the next moment, Doflamenco's pupils contracted, and the silk thread he controlled was no different from ordinary lines under the attack of water droplets. But in the blink of an eye, the spider web was forcefully shattered by water droplets. Master Dover. With a sound from Torpole Mirror Lake, the whole body trembled uncontrollably. They have never encountered such a level of combat since Sagendra's Rosa. This power, this speed. Doflamingo ignored Toripole and took a deep breath. Under the gaze of everyone, his lower body suddenly turned into a twisted line. Thread fruit. Awakening. Bird cage. In the next moment, centered around Doflamenco, countless lines shot out like fountains, forming a small bird cage with a diameter of about 10 meters in the blink of an eye. Great, the young master has tried the bird cage. Even if it's a general, this move cannot be broken. Buffalo exclaimed excitedly. Unfortunately, although the water droplets developed by Master Aaron have tremendous power, it is still impossible to break through Master Dover's birdcage. Diamandi waved the recommendation in her hand and said with a regretful expression. At this moment, the others were staring intently at Aaron and Doflamingo on the field, without any time to express their emotions. However, Domingo was not as optimistic as others. After secretly estimating in his heart, he was immediately surprised. My birdcage can only trap water droplets for 1 minute. This is already the limit. However, his thoughts were not yet over when a soft blowing sound burst out, which immediately made Doflamingo's eyes widen. Bang! At the edge of the birdcage, water droplets directly broke the silk thread of the birdcage, and in an instant, the lines shattered everywhere, and the birdcage was cracked. How could it be possible? The excitement on everyone's faces froze in an instant. My dear brother, you wouldn't think that my water droplets only have this kind of power, would you? Breaking down the bird cage that Domingo was proud of, Aaron did not feel proud. After all, Zhizi is a true general-level war machine. Although Domingo has strong strength, there is still a considerable gap compared to the general. If it weren't for Aaron's lack of combat experience before, I'm afraid Doflamingo would have been defeated long ago. However, even so, it is only a matter of time before Aaron controls the water droplets and wants to defeat Domingo. The incredibly hard shell, with a teleportation-like speed and a giant-like power. With just these 3 things, water droplets are enough to traverse the world of the Pirate King. Moreover, Zhizi also has these other terrifying abilities, which can completely crush a mere general-level Doflamingo. Aaron. Surprisingly, he really created war weapons like generals. At this point, Dominic no longer had the desire to fight. He certainly has his trump card, but his trump card is the giant birdcage, and fighting Aaron is just to test the power of the droplets. Now that it has been confirmed that the water droplet has enough destructive power to rival a general, there is no need for him to continue fighting. Aaron, I lost this battle. Doflamingo lifted his awakening state and looked at his young brother with a strange expression, saying. Chapter 006. We want to become the king of the heavenly dragon people. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Dressrosa, King's Highland, inside the banquet hall. After resting for a while, Doflamingo sat in the front seat and looked at Aaron beside him, saying to everyone. To thank Aaron for his contribution, I propose a toast to everyone. As soon as Domingo finished speaking, everyone shouted loudly, picked up their cups, and drank them all in one gulp. Diamante put down her cup and looked at Doflamingo, then suddenly said. Master Dover, now that we have water droplet technology, if the world government asks us for it, can we go back to the Holy Land with you? As soon as these words were spoken, the banquet hall fell silent, and Doflamingo's face was solemn, clearly realizing that this was an excellent opportunity. The Don Quixote family was originally a Tianlong people living in the Holy Land of Marijoa. However, the couple of Doflamingo gave up their identity as the Tianlong people and were also expelled from the Tianlong people. After the death of his parents, Domingo, his second brother Crozan, and Aaron could only survive on the sea. Over the years, he has always wanted to return to the Holy Land of Mary Joan and restore his identity as a heavenly dragon man. However, although he has now become the 7 martial seas and a middleman in the dark world, in the eyes of the ruling 5 old stars, he is not qualified to become a heavenly dragon man again. But now it's different. The water droplets created by Aaron are completely war weapons with the power of a great general. Moreover, the development of water droplets is not limited to just one, as long as there is sufficient funding and resources, they can be continuously manufactured. With the world government's control over the world, as long as they acquire the manufacturing technology of water droplets, it won't be long before both the 4th Emperor and the 7 martial seas will be swept into the garbage heap of history. If using droplet manufacturing technology as a bargaining chip, thinking of this, Doflamingo's breathing began to become thick and heavy. In all these years, he saw for the first time the hope of returning to Marijoa and restoring the heavenly dragon people. However, before Domingo could speak, Aaron patted the table and sneered. Water droplet manufacturing technology is my achievement, and whether or not I am willing to hand it over is up to me to decide. As soon as these words were spoken, the faces of everyone in the banquet hall suddenly changed. Doflamingo frowned and said displeasedly. Aaron, we are all a family. How can we say that water droplets are your achievements? If there is no family, where do you get the materials for making water droplets? Toripol also nodded and sucked in his nasal mucus, making a muffled sound in his airway. Young Master Aaron, returning to the Holy Land of Mary and becoming a heavenly dragon man has always been Dover's goal. He's your big brother, don't you want to help him? And you are also the bloodline of the heavenly dragon people. Returning to the Holy Land of Maria will also benefit you. Everyone in Don Quixote's family, you can say everything to me. Aaron gave a cold smile, looked around, and said coldly. What you're thinking is too simple. With the arrogance of those people in the Holy Land, they will only force us to hand over the technology for making water droplets. As he spoke, Aaron ignored the others and instead looked at Doflamingo, saying. For those fools in the Holy Land, I don't need to say much. You also understand that what they want, they don't choose to exchange benefits at all, but to forcibly seize. I'm right, my dear brother. Don't be blinded. Upon hearing Aaron's words, Dominic also came to his senses and knew that what Aaron said was the greatest possibility. As the world government that has controlled the world for 800 years, how could they choose compromise? Aaron, you really know about the miscellaneous things in the Holy Land. After a slight pause, there was a hint of sarcasm on the corner of Doflamingo's mouth. I admit, I was tempted just now, but don't underestimate me. Based on my understanding of those 5 old guys, they want water droplet technology and only know how to snatch it, so we can't just think we can have peace of mind just because we have water droplets. The others sighed in disappointment after listening to Doflamingo's words. If Domingo and Aaron return to the Holy Land, their identities will naturally rise. Although I cannot become a heavenly dragon person, being a butler of the heavenly dragon person is also good. Moreover, with the character of Duo Flamenco, they have been getting along with their families in recent years, and if they can enter the Holy Land, they can also gain some rights. Unfortunately, all of this became a bubble in Aaron's words. Aaron nodded to himself as he looked at Duo Flamenco's words that dispelled everyone's years. In my own memory, except for Toribor, who was a staunch loyal member of Domingo, some others, although referred to as family, had relatively distant relationships. However, in any case, these people are all members of the Don Quixote family. Previously, they were only family ministers of Doflamingo. But now that they have created their own droplets, they have become their own vassals. Although it has made them give up unnecessary fantasies, we must also give them some sweetness and not let them lose hope. So Aaron clapped his hands again, attracting everyone's attention, and then said happily. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be discouraged either. Now that we have water droplet technology, as long as we have enough time and resources, everyone can be equipped with a water droplet. At that time, Dres Rosa will not be worthy of our Don Quixote family. As soon as Aaron finished speaking, everyone who had just been feeling down suddenly looked at him with bright eyes. Is everyone equipped with a water droplet? That's right, young Master Aaron is right. If every member of our family has a water droplet, then it is the most powerful force on the sea. When the time comes, don't say it's the 4th Emperor. Even if it's the Navy, no, even if it's the world government, it must depend on our face. Aha, we didn't see it wrong at first. Master Dover and Master Aaron were destined kings. Following you was the most correct decision we made in our lives. Listening to the gossip of everyone in the banquet hall, Aaron chuckled. Returning to the Holy Land and regaining the identity of the heavenly dragon man is something that our brothers must do. After a slight pause, Aaron looked at Domingo and said with a focused tone. But we are returning to the Holy Land not because of the 5 old guys' charity, but because we are strong enough, those old guys must invite us back. Upon hearing this, Domingo let out a signature strange smile from his mouth. Aaron nodded. We don't want to be ordinary Tianlong people, but to become the king of Tianlong people. Chapter 007. The True Power of Water Droplets. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The direction for the future has been determined, and the atmosphere in the banquet hall has become even more cheerful. Duo Flamenco is holding red wine, looking at this. Aaron wrote, Aaron, I was originally looking for a natural demon fruit for you to eat, so that you also have the ability to protect yourself. But now. Before speaking, Baby 5 exclaimed in surprise. Natural demon fruit. Are you referring to the snow fruit we obtained a while ago, Master Dover? A while ago, Doflamenco purchased a natural snow fruit through the dark world. Although it is only a natural system with average potential, it is ultimately a natural system. Forget it, let's leave the natural snow fruit for Monet. I have water droplets now and don't need the power of the demon fruit for now. Aaron refused directly. Monet looked at Aaron in surprise upon hearing this. And Pika also looked surprised and puzzled, saying, Young Master Aaron, that's a natural demon fruit. Don't you like it? Aaron nodded, not considering the devil's fruit yet. It remains to be debated whether or not to eat the devil's fruit, as one has a system in place. But if you choose the devil fruit, you must choose the best one, not an ordinary devil fruit. Domenico's eyes couldn't help but stare slightly, and Aaron rejected his proposal once again. Just thinking that Aaron can develop such a terrible war weapon as water drops, his voice is naturally different from that of the past, so he can no longer command Aaron as the master of the Don Quixote family. Thinking of the uncontrollable teleportation and terrifying power of water droplets, Doflamenco pondered for a moment before asking. Aaron, although the war potential of water drop is enormous, you are still too weak yourself. If someone sneaks or assassinates, I'm afraid. Upon hearing this, the other members of the family felt that what Doflamenco said made a lot of sense. The water droplet is ultimately an external force. If Aaron, the owner who controls the water droplet, has an accident, then even if the water droplet is powerful, what use is it? However, the next moment, Aaron's words surprised them greatly. Oh. I didn't tell you before that the entire process of water droplets is a space probe. When I was creating water droplets, I had already loaded a malicious detection system for them. Any attack that was malicious or aimed at me would not escape the detection of water droplets, so there is no need to worry about my safety. The water droplet technology provided by the system is only at the level of a general, so Aaron can easily manufacture it. If it is truly a droplet created by the Trisolaran civilization, then with the strength of the Dofrenmingo family, they are not qualified to create it. And Aaron also made magic changes to his water droplets, with the goal of prioritizing his own safety. After speaking these words, the other members of the family immediately smiled happily. The power of water droplets is so powerful and their functions are very comprehensive, which is really great for them. Because Aaron said he will also equip them with water droplets. In this way, they can also become generals at the level of combat power themselves. The matter of Aaron's safety has been satisfactorily resolved, and the next step is naturally to continue purchasing precious resources and creating a second droplet. However, Duo Flamenco looked further and asked as he looked at Aaron. You said Shuidi has combat power at the level of a general, but do you really understand the combat power at the level of a general? When Domingo left the Holy Land, he was just a child. His enlightenment teacher was only 4 people, including Torpol, so his growth path was not very good, and the devil's fruit was not the best. His current strength cannot reach the level of a general, and these factors also contribute to it. Although I don't know the true level of the general's strength, I can be certain of one thing, which is that they must be at the top in swordsmanship, demon fruit, or domineering development. Aaron gave a faint glance at Domingo and then continued. You are good at developing devil's fruit, but we all know that compared to a general, your strength is still lacking. The other members of Don Quixote's family don't look good. However, Domingo was ultimately in a heroic state of mind, knowing that Aaron would not belittle him for no reason. So he nodded slightly, gesturing for Aaron to continue speaking. We all know that in order to truly dominate the sea, one must achieve the highest level of achievement in the above three aspects. Whether it's the general or the fourth emperor, they are all top-notch geniuses, and the family has always called them geniuses. However, compared to the general and the fourth emperor, you are still far behind. This time, Domingo is a bit unhappy. Why do you keep belittling me, Aaron? Aaron also noticed that Dofrenmingo was unhappy and directly said. The reason why I am certain that water droplets can reach the level of general is because they have already reached their limits in terms of speed, strength, and hardness. After a slight pause, Aaron manipulated the water droplet to the center of the banquet hall and continued. You have experienced the power of water droplets, I think you cannot resist it. Domenico's face looked a bit ugly, but when facing his younger brother, he still chose to nod. As for the speed of water droplets, I don't have to say much. It can be called teleportation, and this speed can only be compared to the sparkling fruit of Admiral Yellow Ape in the whole world. In the banquet hall, everyone remained silent. At first, they didn't pay attention, but with Aaron's explanation, they finally realized what kind of monster Aaron had created. However, Aaron's shock to them went beyond this. You are all aware of the attack power of the fruit of the thread, but when it falls on the surface of the water droplet, there is not even a trace. Do you think the generals and the four emperors can destroy the water droplet? At the same time, everyone chose to shake their heads, and they had the most say in the power of the fruit of the Doflamingo thread. If the 5 colored lines of Doflamenco attack them, their dominance cannot withstand the cutting of the 5 colored lines. And the water droplets can withstand it unscathed, indicating that even a general level attack may not be able to destroy the water droplets. Lastly, water droplets actually have an ability, which is similar to the freezing ability of Navy Admiral Green Pheasant. Its appearance is at absolute 0 degrees. At the beginning of attacking Big Brother, I didn't let the water droplets really come into contact with him, otherwise he wouldn't have been knocked out, but frozen into an ice sculpture. Finally, Domingo couldn't maintain his smile on his face. Can't this damn little brother speak well? Aaron used to be so well behaved, but now how did he become like this? It's interesting to just scold him when he's free. Chapter 008. Beasts Attack. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Aaron ignored the expression on Duo Flamengo's face as he ate his wings, and said firmly. So rest assured, the water droplets I create definitely have combat power at the level of a general. Aaron spoke the most pretentious words in the calmest tone, making the crowd gasp for breath. According to Aaron's words, with water droplets, wouldn't it be possible to become a general or fourth emperor? The person present who was most enthusiastic about fighting was naturally Diamanti, who asked with a surprised expression. Young Master Aaron, according to your words, with water droplets, you can become the fourth emperor or general. The others also looked at Aaron with a hopeful expression on their faces. If so, doesn't it mean that the Don Quixote family can rule the world as long as they keep making water drops? Upon hearing this, Aaron had no good airway. What do you think? I ask you, if you have water droplets, how can you fight against Red Dog? Ah. Diamandi scratched her head and didn't know how to answer for a moment. What an idiot. Aaron glanced at Diamanti and then said to the others. Having water drops indeed gives one the level of combat power of a general, but when faced with a general and the fourth emperor, one can only choose to flee. Do you know why? Everyone else shook their heads, except for Doflamenco who nodded, clearly understanding Aaron's meaning. At the beginning, Big Brother said that when facing the generals and the fourth emperor, their frontal attacks can be resisted by water droplets, but the aftermath of the attack is not something you can bear. After a slight pause, Aaron continued. Our Don Quixote family, after getting the water drop, only the eldest brother can really have the ability to fight with the senior general, and you can only compete with the 3 disasters or the 4 desert generals. Toripol took a cold breath and exclaimed in shock. So it's like this, no wonder the Grand General and the Fourth Emperor were able to suppress the sea. It's like this. He looked at Doflamenco with a brick and said with a grateful expression. Master Dover, your decision to make me give the money to Master Aaron back then was really wise. As long as we create a few more drops of water, we can also become the fourth emperor group. So it's like this, that's really great. Buffalo patted his chest and said excitedly. Being able to become a strong warrior at the level of 3 disasters is enough. Let young Master Dover and young Master Aaron deal with the other generals and fourth emperors. Buffalo's words clearly received the approval of others, and it was obvious that they also thought the same way. However, Domingo and Aaron had a dark face, and these guys who were just waiting to die without striving for progress were really infuriating. So, young Master Aaron, as you said, let's arrange the second droplet for young Master Dover. Join looked at Aaron excitedly and knocked on the table, saying happily. Yes, Master Dover can deal with Whitebeard after he has water drops. If we can take the head of Whitebeard, we Don Quixote family can become the new 4 emperors. Aaron knocked on the table, attracting attention before saying. Hello, hello. Now, if Big Brother has a water droplet, it can indeed be comparable to a general, but it is impossible to kill Whitebeard, so don't dream about it. Doflamenco nodded, never thinking about defeating Whitebeard. He is not the idiot of a sand crocodile. The reason why this era is called a Whitebeard is because of its unparalleled strength. Although his white beard is gradually aging now, his deterrent power has never diminished. He naturally knows the power of the earthquake fruit, which claims to be able to destroy the world. In the sea not far from Dressrosa, a pirate ship is speeding. The body of the pirate ship is extremely huge, and the position of the bow, like a living giant elephant, shows the identity of the ship owner. The beast pirates, one of the 3 disasters of drought, is known as Jack the King of Ships. On the deck, Jack, who was huge in size, wore a mask and stared at the distant island. Red, increased the ship's speed to the fastest. I've been wanting to teach Joker a good lesson for a long time. Jack looked at the helmsman beside him, his tone revealing impatience. Jack hit someone, the ship's speed is already the fastest. The man who was called Red trembled all over and quickly replied. Among the beast pirates, Jack was the most ferocious. At this moment, he heard the impatience in Jack's words and was extremely afraid that Jack would kill him. Bastard, I asked you to increase the speed of the ship, not to make excuses for me. Red had no choice but to endure his fear and continue speaking. Lord Jack, we will be able to enter the waters of Dressrosa in half a day. You don't need to worry. Jack snorted coldly and angrily said again. Joker, that guy used to keep giving me various excuses, but now I can't wait to see how embarrassed he looks. Since Duo Francisco entered the New World, he has reached an alliance agreement with the pirates of the beasts. However, Domingo is very cunning and rarely appears in person when trading with the beast pirates. And the goods he trades are not the best either. For example, devil's fruit, most of which are not very practical fruits, and some precious ancient or mythical animal species have all been auctioned off by Doflamenco in the Golden City. This naturally caused dissatisfaction among the beast pirates. It was not convenient to teach Doflamingo a lesson in the past, but now Don Quixote's family is down and out, facing the Whitebeard Pirates group, they can only join the Beast Pirates group. So this time Jack found the right opportunity to teach a lesson to Domingo. For Jack, Domingo has always avoided going. The person who came to Dressrosa to pick up something this time was Jack, and Aaron also learned from Domingo's mouth. For Jack, Aaron naturally has some understanding. This guy is the 4th character in the Beast Pirates, but he is loved the most by Cato. Because among the 3 disasters, Quinn was a scientist, Jean was a swordsman, and only Jack was a reckless man, most like Cato. And Jack has always been targeting Cato, both in terms of combat style and demeanor. Unfortunately, compared to Kai Duo, Jack's strength gap is too great. He imitates and imitates, but turns himself into a fool. Being able to use courage to single out a ship with a former naval marshal, current general, and headquarters chief of staff can fully understand his intelligence. However, Jack is not without his strengths. Perhaps his attacking ability is not strong, but he is very resistant to beating. More importantly, his ivory should be very valuable. By the time Jack approached Dressrosa, Aaron had already granted secondary permission to Doflamenco. Nowadays, Domingo is also very proficient in using water droplets. After experiencing it for a while, Doflamenco finally understood how powerful the power of water droplets was. Chapter 009. This person named Aaron should be even more. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Nowadays, facing the fourth emperor or general, it may be difficult for him to win a battle, but it is not a problem to resist or draw. There is only Aaron by the swimming pool in the King's Highland. Baby 5, Buffalo, what are you sneaking around for? Aaron took a sip of the fruit wine in his hand and said angrily to the nearby grass. Discovered. Buffalo poked his head out and looked at Baby 5 beside him, hesitating whether to approach Aaron. You two have something to do with me. Aaron was also quite speechless about these two jokes in the family, so he directly spoke about culture. Actually, there's nothing to do, young Master Aaron. You've worked hard making water droplets. I wonder if there's anything we can help with. Baby 5 jumped out first and came to Aaron's side to pay his respects. Buffalo, who was standing beside him, also nodded, and the sound of the jar echoed in his voice. Master Dover's favorite thing is to sit on me like crazy. Would you like to give it a try, Master Aaron? Aaron, who used to be hidden deep in the castle, never had such a leisurely day. He naturally never took a helicopter from Buffalo. However, Aaron had water droplets in his hand and naturally had no interest in the low-end version of the aircraft called the Buffalo. No, I'm so sad. Thank you for your kindness. Now I just want to be quiet. Ah, what a pity, no one still needs me. Upon hearing Aaron's refusal, Buffalo didn't have much to say, but Baby 5 looked dejected and his whole body was in a daze. Aaron looked at Baby 5's dejected expression and said with a black line on his face. Since that's the case, could you please make me a lunch? Baby 5 is a person with extremely serious mental illness, and she really enjoys the feeling of being needed. For example, if Aaron says to Baby 5, "Come to my room tonight." So, no surprise, at night, Baby 5 will wash herself clean and lie on Aaron's bed. However, Aaron is not someone who takes advantage of the situation and has no interest in such things. This is the shadow caused by childhood experiences, and Aaron doesn't have a good way to deal with it either. He can only see if there is no chance to change it in the future. Not only she, but also all members of the Don Quixote family have serious psychological problems. Of course, except for Aaron himself. After lunch, Aaron stood up and prepared to check how the materials for the second droplet were prepared. However, to his disappointment, Toripol entrusted the task to Joan, while he himself followed the sugar closely. Helplessly, Aaron could only come to the edge of the King's Highland to enjoy the scenery of Dressrosa. Little did they know that as soon as they left the palace, they were stopped by a small human race. You human, don't keep your word. I, Leo, will defeat you today and rescue Princess Mancheri. Aaron looked at the little human race in front of him and suddenly realized it. At first, he promised Gan Xiao, the past member of the little human race, to release Mancheri after completing the water droplet manufacturing. But these days he has been busy talking with Don Quixote's family and forgot about it. Obviously, the little human race thought he was a fraud and was ready to come and use force to save Princess Mancheri. Aaron let out a failure, extended his arm, and let Leo stand on his hand, smiling and saying, "I'm sorry, it's my fault for this. I forgot about it, but don't worry, I will definitely do what I promised. Now I'm going to release Princess Mancheri." For a long time, the Don Quixote family's use of the little human race has always depended on deception. In Aaron's opinion, this is too stupid. Maybe it is because the Don Quixote family is a pirate. They don't know how to integrate to run a real country. Of course, perhaps they have never regarded Dressrosa as their own country, but only as a springboard for becoming a dragon again. But Aaron was different. He didn't have the idea of becoming a heavenly dragon person. Previously, he painted big cakes for his family members just to appease them. So when it comes to dealing with the villains, he has his own decisions. Now that he can make water drops, his voice in the Don Quixote family has changed. Changing the situation of the little human race is just a matter of one sentence. Really? Are you really going to release Princess Mingge? Upon hearing Aaron's words, Leo was pleasantly surprised as he jumped back and forth on Aaron's hand. The little human race is a peace-loving race, and if they can achieve their goals without fighting, they naturally enjoy it as well. Aaron nodded, knowing that only sincerity can move these little things. That's natural. I'll take you to see Princess Mingge now, and you just need to take her back. With that, Aaron placed Leo on his shoulder and took him to find Joan. The person in charge of taking care of Mingge is Joan. After Aaron found her, he asked her to take him to find Princess Mingge. Upon hearing Aaron's request, Joan hesitated and said, "Master Aaron, do we need to communicate with Master Dover about this matter?" Upon hearing Joan's words, Aaron frowned and suddenly felt a little displeased. It seems that the water drop deterrent made by ourselves is not enough, or the time is too short. The members of the Don Quixote family did not clearly realize the importance of Aaron. They have always been led by Domingo, and although they respect Aaron, they are not afraid. I said, "Now take me to see Mingge and let her go." Did you hear me? Aaron intensified his tone, and the originally warm smile on his face disappeared. Xiao Yin couldn't help but shiver, and suddenly she realized that the previously warm young Master Aaron was suddenly full of authority. I'll take you there right away. Joey swallowed her saliva, put down her work, and quickly walked out. Aaron slowly followed up, speechless all the way, until he entered the room where Mingge was being held, and then Aaron said to Joan, "This is the first and last time, and I don't want to repeat what I say again in the future, do you understand?" Aaron's tone sounded plain, but when it caught Joan's ear, it was like thunder. At this moment, Joan's heart was filled with fear, and she naturally dared not refuse. She reluctantly agreed. And on Mingge's side, when she saw Leo, she immediately smiled and tears kept pouring down her cheeks. "Leo, you've finally come to save me." Leo quickly stepped forward and carefully checked Mingge, confirming that she was okay. Then he happily said, "It was Aaron who brought me over. He kept his word and we helped him, so he agreed to let you go." Upon hearing this, Mingge secretly glanced at Aaron. She naturally caught a glimpse of Aaron scolding Joan just now. Joey has always been the most feared person by Mingge, but the person who was so terrifying just now was scolded by the human in front of her and dared not speak. This person named Aaron should be even more terrifying. Chapter 010. The Role of the Little Human Race, Aaron's Hardship. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Am I scary? Looking at the small Mingge in front of him, Aaron chuckled awkwardly. Mingge, like a frightened little rabbit, jumped behind Leo and murmured softly, No, it's not scary." Seeing that Mingge was very afraid of Aaron, Leo comforted her by saying, "Princess Mingge, Aaron Lando is a good person. He will do what he promised." Mingge nodded, and with Leo's words, she cautiously moved her steps and mustered a brave airway. "Thank you, Aaron Lando." Landu is a close term used by the Lilliputian tribe to refer to people they love or respect. The current attitudes of Leo and Mingge indicate that Aaron's attitude towards the Lilliputian tribe has changed and achieved results. Alright, Princess Mingge, along with Leo, Ganjo should have been in a hurry. I'll take you back first. Upon hearing this, a mist filled Mingge's big eyes. She hadn't seen her father for a long time, so she quickly grabbed Leo and followed Aaron out. Arriving at the entrance of the palace all the way, Aaron paused slightly in his footsteps, but the figures of Domingo and Sugar ahead blocked his way. Princess Mingge, along with Leo, I'll send you all here. I have something else to do later, you can go back on your own. Aaron ignored Domingo and instead instructed Mingge and Leo. Mingge glanced timidly at Domingo, knowing that he was the most terrifying person in Dressrosa, and for a moment he was so frightened that he couldn't move. Meanwhile, Leo was fearless as he picked up Mingge with one hand and walked past Domingo with a strong and imposing presence. Domingo's gaze remained fixed on the two little human races, but in the end, he did not stop them and allowed them to leave. Aaron watched as the two little human races disappeared from the king's highland, and then he looked at Domingo and said, "Aren't you busy familiarizing yourself with the combat tactics of water droplets? Why do you have time to wander around with Sugar?" Domingo did not answer, but instead asked in reverse. "In the beginning, the family put in a lot of effort to catch Mingge, so you let her go like this?" Domingo looked at Aaron with a hint of questioning in his tone. "The little human race is my indispensable helper in making water droplets, so I need their wholehearted cooperation," Aaron explained lightly. However, this explanation was not accepted by Domingo. He pursed his lips and his unique laughter echoed on the king's highland. Aaron looked at Domingo with great interest and asked strangely, "It seems that you are still like those idiots from the Tianlong people, thinking that everything in the world can be taken away at will. Don't you know that the more you suppress it, the more it rebounds?" Under the sunglasses, Domingo's eyes narrowed slightly, and he didn't care about Aaron's sarcasm. And now Aaron can make water droplets, he is no longer the child who could only hide in the castle in the past. He must show a proper attitude. It's just a small human race. Since you released her, that's it. After a slight pause, Domingo said again. "Just now, Joey found me and said she messed with you. Now it seems that it's because of these little human race." Aaron nodded, glanced at the Sugar, and if there was any indication, he said, "My foolish brother, your style is already outdated." Aaron shook his head and said, "You have to explain to those guys in your family that what I say in the future must be executed immediately, otherwise you will bear the consequences." Duo Flamenco's face looked a bit ugly, and in his eyes, all members of the family were family members. Aaron's attitude is clearly different from his own, not treating them as family. Just as Duofriend Mingge was about to speak, Buffalo suddenly ran over and said, "Young master, we have found a ship belonging to the 100 Beasts Pirates group in the sea. It looks like it's Jack from the Drought." Doflamingo frowned and sighed inwardly. The group of beasts and pirates had arrived, preaching about Aaron's affairs. We had to find another time in the future. He nodded at Buffalo and said, "Aaron, if I have something to do, I'll leave the safety of the Sugar to you." Among the pirates of the beasts, the only one that Duo Flamengo truly feared was Kaido. This time, only Jack came, so Duo Flamengo did not bring any water droplets. Looking at Duo Flamenco leaving, Aaron shook his head in distress. He still had a big pile of things to do, how could he have time to take care of the Sugar? "Young Master Aaron, I'll leave my safety to you." Sugar locked his fingers, looking innocent and innocent. "Don't be cute with me, you 19-year-old expired lowly." Sugar suddenly widened its eyes. When did Aaron still have the talent for such a venomous tongue? "Don't follow me like this. I have something else to do. Go find Toripole for your safety, don't bother me." For the woman Sugar, Aaron is still very careful. Whenever she touches her, she will turn into a toy. This terrifying ability is truly beyond defense. If you spend a long time with Sugar, you may gradually relax your guard. If Sugar has malicious intentions, even if there are water droplets detected, you may not be able to react. After stopping Aaron's words, the smile on Sugar's face suddenly disappeared. Young Master Aaron, it's not my wish to grow up, but because the fruit of childlike innocence has endowed me with this ability, which has permanently fixed my appearance at the age of 10. After a slight pause, the Sugar suddenly showed a smile again. Of course, being a child is not a bad thing, and often it's convenient to use it. After all, who would be on guard against a child? Aaron nodded and was clear about the side effects of the childlike fruit. So, what are you trying to say when you tell me these things? Aaron's iron-hearted appearance makes his sugar teeth itch. Master Dover said, "My safety is up to you, so you must protect me." With a sigh, Aaron knew he was being held up by Sugar and shook his head helplessly. Okay, anyway, many materials haven't been collected yet. Let's go take a look at the big signboard of the 100 Beasts and One Piece group. Hey, hello, the temper during the drought is not good. If there is a conflict then, it will not be good. Aaron ignored the Sugar and said to himself. It's up to you whether you go or not, I've already decided. After speaking, Aaron lifted his feet and walked outward. Wow, wow. Sugar looked at Aaron as he left, rolled his eyes, sat on the ground, and burst into tears. Unfortunately, Aaron doesn't eat her tricks at all. Seeing that his skill in taking care of Aaron was not enough, Sugar could only stand up helplessly and follow Aaron out of the king's highland.